Education Report 2023, may we call on Vice President and the concurrent Education Secretary, Sara Z. Duterte.
Thank you. Please take your seats. His Excellency Ferdinand Marcos Jr., distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum, madayaw ug maayong adlaw kaninyong tanan. Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Sa bahay, bilang ina, kasama ko, namumuhay ang apat na uri ng learners. Isang kindergarten, isang grade 4, isang grade 3, grade 7 at grade 9. Nakita ko po ang iba't ibang uri ng problemang nararanasan nila sa kanilang pag-aaral araw-araw. Sa trabaho, bilang kalihim ng Department of Education, kasama ko namang namumuhay ang mahigit sa 28 million Filipino learners sa buong bansa. At nakikita ko ang napakaraming problemang hinaharap at binubuno nila sa kanilang pag-aaral araw-araw. For learners at home, over 28 million learners all over the Philippines. These, ladies and gentlemen, make my interest in the future of Philippine education a very personal matter. Filipino learners are not academically proficient. Oftentimes, Filipino learners experience emotional abuse and exhaustion. Some Filipino learners suffer from psychological fatigue. And being academically insecure, many of them fail to meet the standards of the demanding and competitive world. These are caused and triggered by conditions present at home, in our communities, and even in our schools as a result of problems ingrained in our system. This is the truth. Ito po ang katotohanan. Mao kini ang kamatuuran sa dagway sa atong kaugmaon. But this is a future we can change. And that is why we are all here. Let us remember that even in the face of death, Dr. Jose Rizal was the perpetual obstinate patriot, as he was courageous and defiant before his firing squad executioners. Let us remember that Gabriela Silang, an Ilocano, was unshaken by the grief of widowhood and continued the revolution even after the death of her husband, Diego Silang. Let us remember that in Bohol, Francisco Dagohoy led the longest revolution in history. And let us remember that in Mindanao, the successful Moro resistance was fortified by the unity forged between Moro leaders across Mindanao and North Borneo by the great Sultan Kudarat. These are just a handful of Filipinos whose sacrifices changed the course of our history as a people. They are Filipinos who demonstrated the indomitability of our spirit as a people. Our children are children of heroes. They are the descendants of Dr. Jose Rizal, Gabriela Silang, Francisco Dagohoy, and Sultan Kudarat. Our children are bound for greatness. Yes, it is necessary to emphasize that abilities are important to navigate life successfully. But our children must understand that hardships in life are not overcome by the best minds. Hardships in life are overcome by the strongest hearts. Today is an opportunity for us to renew our commitment to our children and their future. Hard work, hard work, hard work. And only if we work the hardest will our children fly, soar, fight, and win. This is the Basic Education Report 2023. The lack of school infrastructure and resources to support the ideal teaching process is the most pressing issue pounding the Philippine basic education. The department is not blind to the reality that there is a need to build, repair, and maintain school infrastructure to accommodate the growing number of learners all over the Philippines. Today, there are over 28 million Filipino learners studying in public schools all over the Philippines. Our latest inventory shows we have 327,851 school buildings in the country. Out of these school buildings, only 104,536 are in good condition. Due to various reasons, there are also 100,027 school buildings that need minor repairs, 89,252 require major repairs, and 21,727 are set for condemnation. Our schools are not calamity-proof. Among the significant roadblocks to our education infrastructure program are earthquakes, typhoons, landslides, flooding, and even armed conflicts. In the Visayas alone, a total of 17,263 classrooms damaged by Super Typhoon Odette are still subject for repair and replacement. Last year in July, I personally visited Clarin National High School in Bohol. And in August, the Triana Elementary School in Limasawa Island in southern Leyte. The destruction left by Super Typhoon Odette in these schools were heartbreaking, raising the urgency for an appropriate action and collaboration between DepEd and education stakeholders from the local government units, the private sector, and international partners. In Triana Elementary School, a tent donated by an international aid agency has served as the temporary learning space. We need 9.82 billion for the repair and replacement of Odette damaged classrooms in the Visayas alone. For 2023, the DepEd has allocated a total of 15.6 billion for new construction. Our assessment of the department's procurement practices showed cracks that, if left unresolved, will harm our vision to providing our learners with quality basic education. These procurement practices also illuminated the concern for transparency and accountability. Our assessment showed that the centralized procurement of DepEd has been hounded by delays in the submission of technical specifications, lack of updated guidelines, lack of qualified bidders, and low participation rate of prospective bidders. There were successful bidders who delivered on time, who failed to deliver on time, and worse, there were successful bidders who failed to make deliveries at all. The procurement practices at the Department of Education had red flags that demanded immediate actions. The creation of a separate strand dedicated entirely on matters of procurement was made to improve the system. This strand is ordered to ensure that delivery of services is done within the period required by law, following the processes mandated by law. Our intention here is to solve a problem that has permeated within the system and ensure that transparency and accountability are present. As we confront the dilemma in school infrastructure and learning resources, we looked at the trends in our enrollment and learner data during the pandemic and now. We are implementing post-pandemic programs and reforms. After a significant decrease in enrollments in 2020 due to COVID-19 related school closures, enrollment has since started to recover. This year, we welcomed around 28.4 million learners in 44,931 public schools and 12,162 private schools nationwide. But recovery in enrollment is limited only to public schools. We saw the decline of enrollment figures in private schools and eventually saw some private schools terminating their operations. From 2020 to 2022, more than 1,600 private schools stopped operations. Currently, the Department of Education is responsible for almost 80% of schools nationwide, of which 79% are elementary schools. Evidently, there is a wide disparity between the number of elementary and secondary schools in the country. With such a disparity, inclusivity in education remains to be a concern. Despite gains in bridging gaps, learners from indigenous peoples' communities, geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas, Muslim youth, learners with disabilities, and out-of-school youth and adults still require the attention of the community. We need to improve their participation rate in basic education. The core of basic education is curriculum. The ongoing review of the K-12 curriculum has revealed that the curriculum content is congested, that some prerequisites of identified learning competencies are missing or misplaced, that a significant number of learning competencies cater to higher cognitive demands. For senior high school, our work immersion program has contributed to a high passing rate of 90% in the National Certificate Assessment administered by TESDA. However, industry partners have expressed concern that the time allotment for work immersion is only for familiarization and not for actual skills acquisition. Today, most senior high school graduates find the need to pursue higher education in order to find employment. The National Senior High School Tracer study conducted by the Bureau of Curriculum Development showed that 83% of the respondents pursued higher education, while only a little over 10% of graduates were employed. The K-12 curriculum promised to produce graduates that are employable. That promise remains a promise to this day. Our teachers, they are the lifeblood of the Department of Education. Without our teachers, our mission to carve a better future for our children will fail. Lagi ko pong sinasabi sa ating mga guro, importante kayo sa pag-unlad ng ating bayan. Kayo ang gumagabay at tumutulong sa ating mga kabataan sa pagpapanday ng kanilang mga pangarap sa buhay at sa katuparan ng mga pangarap na ito. And to empower our learners, with the relevant skills and knowledge, we shall focus on upscaling your knowledge and capacities as public servants. The assessment on the K-12 curriculum revealed the weak teaching methods of our teachers in addressing 21st century skills. Studies done by the Research Center for Teacher Quality, the World Bank, and UNICEF showed that teachers need further support, particularly in explicitly and strategically teaching critical thinking and problem-solving skills. While critical thinking was most evident in the curriculum, it was also the least taught to students by teachers. Instead, lessons leaned towards conceptual or content-based teaching, and lessons lacked in-depth processing to cultivate critical thinking and problem-solving. Finally, there appears to be insufficient knowledge on developing 21st century skills, including higher-order thinking skills among learners. This is not the fault of our teachers, whose dedication, integrity, and the commitment to serve Filipino children and the country strengthened our collective effort to achieve our shared dreams for our learners. The sad reality is the system has failed them. This is a system that burdens them with backbreaking and time-consuming administrative tasks, a system that provides no adequate support and robs them of the opportunity to professionally grow and professionally teach, assist, and guide our learners. Ladies and gentlemen, our teachers must return to our classrooms and they must teach. Another alarming issue that we must address appropriately and effectively is literacy. The 2018 study results of the Program for International Students Assessment, or PISA, are distressing, as it is alarming for me as a mother and as Secretary of the Department of Education. The study results showed 81% of participating Filipino learners could not deal with basic math problems. 81% had trouble understanding texts of moderate length, and 78% could not recognize correct explanations for scientific phenomena or draw valid conclusions from given data. We can do better than this. And we Filipinos are better than this. But studies like these are opportunities for us to thoroughly examine our system and the defects that hurt our children's abilities. The current state of basic education behooves us all to take a courageous stand and calls us to work together with the intention and commitment to resolve the challenges in basic education. We fail, and our children will fail. In 2022, guided by its mandate and the renewed hope under the administration of President Marcos Jr., the Department of Education took steps towards education reforms.